Welcome along, my little buddies. It's time for the Dumbed Down Atheist, episode 10. This week on the show, entitled Everybody Loves Rahman Rahman, who's my friend who goes to, his kids, they go to school with my child. Poor kids, that's what I say, being inflicted with my child. And I feel fair to say Rahman came in to express his views on Islam, because he is a Muslim, and he is a friend. He's not an Islamic scholar. He's not a priest. He's not an imam. So his views are his own. And unfortunately, after the interview, I was looking on the Facebook things. And that whole thing that's erupted we interrupt this in anything. I looked it up on the internet because I forgot. It was in Cairo, and the outrage with the Muslim community and the killing of the envoy and the things over the movie, The Innocence of Muhammad, which I saw last night, and they're calling it an insult to Islam, and they should probably also call it an insult to cinemat movies. It's been a long day, and I'm hastily cobbling this bit together to join up to the bit that's the interview with my friend. And my kid's got a friend over for sleep overnight, and it's been a long day. So I didn't get a chance to really talk to him about that, although we do cover the offence felt by Muslims with any depiction of Muhammad. And, but no, we didn't get to talk about that because, I think it had happened, but I hadn't quite seen the news that day. So, God, I got to say, I got to say I do worry for this world. I got to say that. Still, got to have a laugh, don't you? I think. Anyway. Here's Nev's episode, and then we'll get straight in. Oh, there's one other thing.
Oh, no, come on.
Very important before we get into Nev's episode.
Come on, hurry up. I want my bit on.
Yes, okay.
No, I'm always getting locked out of this. I'm getting less and less time.
There he was, folks, when there's nothing left to be said. Neville's still saying it. Here's the important announcement. Since changing RSS feeds, I used to be with a mob called Libsyn. And I must admit, the sound quality of Libsyn when you uploaded your MP3s before they went off to be aggregated through iTunes and various other places was very good. But unfortunately, I thought 400 meg a month would be more than enough, but I was wrong. And so it means like the last 3 podcasts I've released, if I'd stayed with Libsyn, I still wouldn't have even been able to release one of them, okay? Because I just don't have enough free space. And it meant that instead of paying like about $20 a month for my hosting with Libsyn, I would have had to pay like $100 a month. And I can't afford that. I can't afford it. So I changed over to Spreaker Web, which is why now when you download the new things you hear, this is SpreakerWeb.radio or whatever it is they say. The thing is, is that with Spreaker, I noticed there are some distortions in the sound, which I'm not very happy about, but when you consider the prices are much lower, and I have taken it up with them, and so far I think they've got cloth ears because they're it's been a bit with the email and stuff saying, well, could you point us to where the distortion is? So I said it's on all of them. Oh, we don't have time to listen to all of them, so I sent back last episode saying you can hear it. Now, I noticed with my iPod, if I switch my iPod sound to mono, that does kind of alleviate the distortion. I know a lot of people probably think, I didn't really hear that, but it is there. It's a bottom-end, rumbly kind of distortion, and I will be taking it up with them. So what I'm going to do for this episode too is I'm going to upload the show in glorious mono, okay? And we'll see what happens. As I say, switch your MP3 player or something, if you can, to mono. That does tend to alleviate a bit. I will keep haranguing them. And if you hear the distortion in the other episodes, you might want to go to Spreaker Web Radio and also say, listen, we can hear the distortion. We can actually hear it.
Drivel.
We ain't got cloth ears, you know.
I'm listening to Drivel.
Okay, here's Nev's bit.
Yeah, about
Sorry,
bloody time.
yes, I'm sorry. You will get more time next week.
I want more
then
time.
Straight into Everybody Loves Rahman.
Yeah.
Last week on Nev from Nangwarry.
Neville Norbert Nangers, I hereby arrest you for the murder of Nora Nangers, nee Narracourt. I am Detective Sergeant Gary Gambia of the Mounted Mount Police Force.
Well, I've been right up to my neck in it, and I'm never in a flurry. I'm Nev from Nangwarry. I don't know. Yep, no, that's who I am. Yep, no. Thank you, Sergeant. Your uniform presence and rather rotund stomach was just the ticket today as the little perisher give us an hard time. Jump into your divisional wagon, and myself and Constable Plodder can take it from here. We shall meet you back at the station. I say, Plodder, sit on him. Make sure he don't give us no more jip. 30 minutes later, on the way back to the station. Oh, so you're finally awake, Mr. Nangers. Back in the land of the living, as it were.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Detective Sergeant. I must have dozed off.
Yes, well, it seems you were certainly a lot more polite than you were before we had to give you a little rest. Of course, you know you're lucky, don't you? Being polite, you might be able to convince a jury you're actually innocent. Because you know, I was a sheriff in the United States for 3 years.
Were ya?
Yes, I was. I was the sheriff of Badass County, and I got along like house on fire, but no one could understand a word I was saying.
Aye, I didn't catch that.
Of course, you're lucky, you know. If you'd bumped off your wife over there, they'd have given you the chair.
Aye.
But I suppose you being such a polite man, you'd have offered it to the First Lady present.
Well, yeah, I've always been a gentleman. Of course I would. I'd give her me chair.
That's just what I've suspected. You would send another innocent woman to her death. You're guilty, you are. Dead guilty. I can't understand why we're going so slow. Plodder, have you still got your feet hanging off the back of the cart? They're slowing us down. Lift them up. 2.5 hours later, as the dray hits town. Whoa, slow it down, girls. Plodder, hang those great anchors of yours over the back of the cart. Don't want to get photographed breaking any 50-kilometre zones, you know. As the inspector said to me last week, just because you're mounted don't mean you go unaccounted and had to pay my fine. I sent away for a photo, and all I got back was an horse's ass. Not any horse's ass, mine, it was mine.
Yeah. Listen, when we get back, can you call me lawyers?
Oh, ain't we fancier? Lawyers, and who might they be then?
Yeah, I got the number in me pocket here. Hang on. It's Buckle, Under and Cave In. Only don't ask for Mr. Cave In, because he don't like me very much.
3 days later, in the cell of Nangers.
I came as quickly as I could. I'm from Buckle Under and Cave In. Remember our motto, with friends like us in the courtroom, who needs enemies? Now, my name's Simcoe Snively. Oh, no, it's you dirty little perisher.
Hey, that's no way to talk to me. I'm your client.
Oh, yes, so you're right, yes. Says here you murdered your wife. How you planning on pleading?
Not guilty, of course.
Oh, that's all I need at the moment. I'm so busy I've had my nose in people's briefs all morning. Mind you, their business wasn't as dirty as yours.
Hey, you're my lawyer. You're supposed to have my best interests at heart.
Well, you'll be pleased to know I've arranged your bail. It's $10,000. You've got that, haven't you?
10 grand? I'll end up rotting in here. What am I going to do?
Oh, look on the bright side. All the time you've spent in here will come off your sentence when you're found guilty. Oh, and another thing, Mr. Nangers, try not to lose too much sleep or worry. You're in good hands.
Well, I've been right up to my neck in it, and I'm never in a flurry. I'm Nev from Nangwarry. I don't know. Yep, no, that's who I am. Yep, no.
It's been a while, ladies and gentlemen out there in podcasting land, and I promised my friend Rahman would come in and talk to us for the Dumbed Down Atheist podcast, and we've had a bit of toing and froing, and then the other day you were sick, weren't you?
Yes.
He was poorly, because you met me at the door and you shook my hand, and you were you're running a bit of a fever.
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
You got to the door and hello. But then you got better, which is good. And, now, let's see, where were we? I met Rahman at my son's school.
Yes.
And your boys go to school with my boy.
Yeah.
And most of the time when they're not all fighting and carrying on and,
Yes.
he's taking too long at that, I don't want this. My turn, my turn, my turn. They're all friends. Now, Rahman, everyone calls you Rahman.
Yeah, it's my family name. It's easier to, call. So that's why they call me Rahman, which is my last name, your family name, you can say.
Yeah, because it's your surname, but not your first name.
No, not my first name.
So is it? I always call you Rahman. Is it Raymond?
It's a Rahman, actually.
Rahman.
Rahman. R-A-H-M-A-N.
Say that again.
R-A-H-M-A-N.
No, say it. Don't spell it. Say it.
Rahman.
Rahman.
Yes.
Rahman. So I was going to call this episode "Everyone Loves Rahman," as you know, the TV show.
Oh yeah, that was a different spell, and they said everybody loves Raymond.
Yeah, but this is "Everybody Loves Rahman."
All right.
You see, we have peculiar ways. Okay, so you came to Australia from
Pakistan.
From Pakistan,
yeah.
And tell me before we get into it, what was it like growing up in Pakistan?
That's before 9/11, the Pakistan used to be a good country.
Yes,
very good country. But after the incident took place, so all the wreckage we had to carry, the Twin Tower, they went down.
Yes,
and it means because we are a neighbor country of Afghanistan, so we had to take a lot of problem from the outside the border. So that is why once we are in the war, so-called war in terrorism, so that's why we are the victim of the terrorism as well.
Okay, so all right, so because in the Western press, they do say Pakistan is sort of like a hiding ground for Al Qaeda soldiers, people. Because the border gets a little bit blurry between the two countries.
Yeah, that's right. Because the border was, the border actually it's not that sort of a border which which you have everywhere. You can say between the two countries like India and Pakistan. That is a constant border.
A definite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't cross the border without any permission or without any visa, something like that.
Yeah.
But as far as the Afghan-Pakistan border, it's remote areas. The mountainous terrain, a very difficult terrain. Even the American soldiers over there, they are not keeping an eye on it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So do Pakistan, and before 9/11, Pakistan was not putting any soldier to guard these areas.
Right.
That was guarded by the local people themselves.
Right. So you decided to come to Australia, and you came for skilled migration.
Yes.
How dangerous was it being in Pakistan though before you left? Is it now dangerous? Is it?
Yeah, dangerous in a lot of perspective and a lot of aspects we have to talk on it, because the Pakistan itself, the system is getting collapsed.
Right.
Like in terms of economy, in terms of states, in terms of institutions, in terms of safety and security. So the common man, those who are living there, they were compelled to live over there. You see, the thing is that. So I need to give my family a better life, a better environment, a better country, or so I decided to consider Australia.
Yeah.
Because Australia is a good progressive country, democracy here, a lot of things. We have a equal opportunity to compete with others. So that is why we had to come here, and we came here.
Was it hard to say goodbye to your friends and family though? There
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's very hard, but I have to do whatever for sake of my family, for my boys, because I have lived my life, at least 50-60% I have lived my life, but it's now for my family, especially for my boys and girls. They have 100% there. They have to explore things, they have to grow up.
Yep.
So I want them to grow up in a good environment,
in a safe place,
as well. Yeah.
I was speaking with, I've got a whole bunch of questions here, but now we've already gone off on a tangent, as you would expect. I was speaking 2 shows ago, to a reverend of a church here. And what was I going to say? And I was telling him about you. And of course, he's a little bit down on other religions. Do you think Islam is compatible? Can you bring your faith here and be compatible with Australia? Because his sort of attitude is a little bit that it can't be.
No, it's a wrong perception. Maybe it's a presumption against Islam, but Islam is a very compatible. The thing is that it's growing in the Western society more and more. As compared to other countries. Like if you say USA or UK, they're the number one religion in terms of growing. And I can give you example of the British correspondent Christina Lamb.
Yeah,
she has become Muslim. And what do you think about Tony Blair, ex-Prime Minister of British ex-Prime Minister Tony Blair?
Yes.
And his sister-in-law has accepted Islam, and now she has become a scholar, and she was visiting Canada, America to preach, to give a lecture.
Should Westerners fear Islam though? Because in Australia there was a documentary recently, which I just saw the other day, called Dumb, Drunk and Racist. Now, I don't know if you saw it, but it was when it came about because of the Indian students that were bashed in Melbourne.
Yep.
And there was one boy who died. Yep. And then in India they said, that Australians are dumb, they're always drunk, and they're very, very racist.
That is I don't agree. This is a statement that can be a different aspect of it, and I think it's those who are doing it. It is in minority. The majority, more than 80%, they are very good people here.
Right.
Very good people, very open-minded, progressive, and tolerant as well. And they don't want to poke their noses into everybody's matter. So that's a very good thing, But you can say that in every society the black sheeps are there.
Right. Okay. Well, I found, working in a community radio station, that every racial group tends to have someone they are racist about. So if someone fears me for being racist towards them, they then have another group sometimes that they are racist towards.
Yeah, that's you are right.
And that seems to be inside human beings.
Yeah.
And someone said somewhere that it almost is I think it was on that Dumb, Drunk and Racist show, that it's almost inside human beings an inbuilt survival mechanism or something, because you fear the outsider because of they're different, or they might change you, or...
Yeah, that's right. But thing is that it's the beauty of Australia, especially because it's a very so much multicultural. This country is a multicultural country, multi-ethnic country. That's a beauty. And I think, from my opinion, we should have a difference of opinion. We can have a different religion, we can have a different background, we can have a different languages, but that's a beauty.
With your children though, how would you feel though, if they grow up in Australia, and let's say over the course of time they become very Aussie, and as the generation goes on, how would you feel though if they lost their faith?
No, if they lost their faith, if it's a big if,
because it can happen.
It may happen. You are right. But thing is that it's not their failure; it's my failure. Then
right,
it's my failure, because if I could not give them a good understanding, good material, good concept of Islam or other thing, or if I do not pose Islam on myself, just to let them know that what I'm doing, what Islam says, whatever, if I just reluctant to give them this sort of thing, so why that's why they can become either they can accept another religion, or they can accept, no, I don't want any religion, like Ozzy,
So you could live with that. You would be able, you could cope with that.
But I won't let it happen.
But if it did happen,
if it did happen, so that's why it's not their failure; it's my failure. That's why I failed. Right. It might I failed, but I won't let it happen. And if it happens as well, but thing is that we have to make them understand that what they are doing there, it's not good, it's not bad. But thing is that we should not pressurize.
Okay.
We should not pressurize. They are there after 18 years, and they would be grown enough. They can decide what they want.
See, one of the things I said to the Reverend Bob Gray regarding you was that you grew up in an Islamic country.
Yes.
Pakistan, I mean,
so-called
pretty much,
Islam,
it's the majority religion.
Yep.
And generally people who grow up with whatever religion they are is the religion they will follow, generally.
Yeah, that's right.
And, you know, he was saying, oh, yes, but people come to Australia and they shouldn't, you know, whatever, they mustn't force their religion and all that. And I said, well, I don't think Rahman
You're right,
would be forcing his... He's never seemed to force religion on anybody. And it would be very difficult to demand people to say, well, you must not follow that, because if you were to stop following your religion, you would be almost turning your back on your family, your mother, your father.
Yeah.
And that would be very difficult to do.
Yeah, that's right, because we have to face them.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's the same thing with people in Christianity, that they'll say, well, I could never renounce my religion because I would lose my family. My family would find it very hard to accept me, given that they are Christian.
Yes.
And it has happened to people when they've said to their relatives, parents, whatever, look, I don't believe this anymore. Sometimes people take the risk of, it's not only your religion you could be losing your family, your culture, and everything that you grew up with.
Yeah, that's right. That's a stigma as well. But the thing is that in Australia or any other Western countries, the missionaries, Islamic missionaries here, they are doing fantastic job. And now I think I'll let you know. I can let you know that we have made a very first mosque in Ballarat.
Right.
So we in the month of Ramadan we did the fundraising and we got the $250,000.
Wow.
Yeah, within a 1 month. And all over Australia, from Sydney, from Perth, from Brisbane. So they donated, and now we are able to do that, and we purchased the land and other things. So in Australia, especially Ballarat, we have here ISB. It's the Islamic Society of Ballarat, under the umbrella of Victorian Council of Islam, Islamic Council of Victoria. So we have a mechanism there. And we are on the basis of very scientifically we are working on it, and we have a lot of the Australian white people, they converted, and when I go to Melbourne, I saw a lot of white people, Australian. They they usually brought their families with us, so with the children and even their white wives, they are using hijab, veil. They're using veil as well. Oh, I'm very surprised.
I was going to ask you why you believe. Where does the practice of the hijab come from?
It's come from Saudi Arabia.
Where does it have its origins in Islam, though? Where at some point did they say that women should cover their hair?
You see, it's not the mandatory thing, It's not the mandatory thing. As I'm not a scholar.
Yeah.
I'm not a scholar, but from a layman ground, I can tell you that hijab, I think Islam is not forcing you. Islam wants they gave you, the code of conduct for the dress.
But that's in a country like Australia. There are places in the world, though, if women do not cover up, that they can be, persecuted in the streets. So it's not compulsory in a society like ours.
Yep.
Is it in the Quran anywhere where it does say it is compulsory, though?
I don't think so. It's not compulsory to cover the whole
with the
face.
That's the burqa.
Yeah, it's a burqa or hijab.
Yeah.
But in Quran, it is written there that you have to have a decent clothing. You see, just do not expose your body parts.
Why would it be indecent, though, to see a woman's hair? What is it about? What? Why would that be offensive to Allah?
No, not offensive to Allah. But Allah, in Quran, according to Quran, because those who believe in Quran, are basically Muslims, so they can act upon it. They should act upon it. But the thing is that we should not enforce this thing to others as well. That's it.
No, but obviously to dress decently.
Yeah, you see, the decent means a difference as well.
Why would it be indecent, though, not to?
Thing is that a decent meaning, that's every society has got their own decency sort of thing,
Yeah.
So like in India,
yeah.
If you show the belly or something like that with the sari,
yeah.
so it is not indecent, it is decent. It is decent.
Yep.
But if you go to the USA or Western culture,
Yeah.
so if you are in the skirt or good, so you're decent. But still, you can't walk like
So it's cultural.
It's a cultural as well. Yeah.
It's cultural. So it's a cultural. To do it is a cultural taboo to not wear it, but it's actually not enforced by Islam itself.
Not enforced like a Taliban's, the
Mm-hmm.
Taliban's burqa. It is not written in Islam that you have to have like just only you can see the eyes can be seen. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't agree with it.
You don't agree. Why do you think they? What? Because the Taliban grew, from what I can remember, because they were the tribesmen of Afghanistan.
Yes.
They were in the hills.
Yeah. The term from Taliban, it is it came in the early 90s.
Yes.
Early 90s. Before that, they were fighting against those who were fighting against Russia, known as Mujahideen.
Yep.
And welcomed by the President Ronald Reagan as well.
Yeah, well, they armed the Mujahideen. They gave them the Stinger missiles because they had a greater enemy, which was the USSR.
Yeah, that's right. And because in early 1980s, maybe 1981 or 82, they kept fighting against the Russians and without any backing from the Western society. But the other, like Dick Cheney or Reagan administration, they pushed forward them. They induced them to go for a holy war and other thing, and they backed with the weapon and finance and a lot of things.
And prior to the Russians invading Afghanistan, which they essentially did invade. I mean, a lot of people said they were invaded, but I mean, they did invade.
They did invade. They got at that time. They got a puppet government over there.
That's right. And at that time, the USSR did think, in my opinion, they did think they were invincible. They thought eventually the world they would take over the world, which of course they didn't in the end. But if the USSR had not invaded Afghanistan, because prior to that point, the tribes people there were largely fighting each other, weren't they?
Not in Afghanistan, not in Pakistan. It's I think it's a petty war. Not a war. It's a petty fight.
But it was tribal
differences, and then they if they fought with each other, they solved with each other as well. So there's no big incident took place.
No, but they were just ancient little disputes over
just a little dispute, and that can be solved as well, and that was being solved.
So, I mean, essentially they did defeat the Russians because, like most forces of people, when you venture outside your border, this is the Russians I'm talking about, and you go to someone else's territory, rather similar to the Americans in Vietnam, you are then fighting on someone else's soil, and the home team
a home advantage
generally will have the home advantage because it's their land, and if it's a harsh terrain, which the mountains of Afghanistan are, and the jungles of Vietnam were, coming from a Western society where life is pretty soft.
Yes, very easy.
And then being thrown in, especially if your soldiers are conscripted, which the Americans were, the Russian soldiers were. Most of the Russian soldiers didn't want to be there, but they had no choice. They were sent. You are at a big disadvantage when you're fighting the local side. If the Russians had never gone there, would we see the Taliban of today?
No.
What do you think would have happened if Russia had never gone in there?
If the Russia did not commit this sort of mistake, so I think we have a better place. We have a better world, I think.
You think it would have stayed that way? Because Afghanistan prior to that, because now a lot of Afghanistan has been bombed, destroyed. The destruction is terrible. Before that, it was largely untouched. Is that right? It was
largely. That was still tribal society there, but at least at that time, before 1973, that was the King Zahir Shah used to rule on Afghanistan, and then the Afghan people, at least they think that at least they have got one leader there in the name of King Zahir Shah kingdom there. So that was a good, and it's still that was a tribal society, but there's not much panic over there. There's not much hassle and hectic going on there. That this sort of thing happened once they crossed the Amur River. The Russian soldiers crossed the Amur River. Then they sort of the Afghanistan has a history. has a history. Afghanistan never accept any foreign invasion.
No, that's right.
So if you read a book written by the Winston Churchill, you come to know about that because a lot of expedition was sent by the British Empire as well.
Yes.
I couldn't get through.
No, well, my father was a British soldier, as I've said, and the British Army were told when it came to the Khyber Pass area, you don't go in. You may stop them from coming out, but you do not go in. And if you fire a bullet shell, anything into that area, you go and find it, because the tribespeople will make another bullet from that bullet.
That's right.
Which is what happened with the Russian armaments, the tanks, the whole thing, because in the end, they took them. In the Bible, the Christian Bible, there's the book of Revelations. And that's where you start to get the idea of the end times, Armageddon, holy wars.
Yep.
Is there an equivalent of that in the Quran?
Not particularly, but we have a timeline as well. Like we say in our language, Qiyamah means doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
But doomsday that nobody can predict. The only God knows.
Did the advance of the Russians into Afghanistan, do you think, bring about in the minds of the people who are now the Taliban? Did it bring on that idea of doomsday?
No,
not at
all. That was the national movement, and in this national movement was converted, or make it convert, like a holy war by the Americans.
Well, okay, did it so? But did it bring about in their minds the idea of the holy war?
Yeah.
The final battle? Because
not a final battle, but holy war in this sense, that is a foreign aggression of the non-believer, because they are the communist,
right.
And the Western power, mostly USA, says that we trust in God.
Uh-huh.
So for us, the Christians are closer, because we from the Muslim perspective, Judas and Christians both are the book holders.
Mm-hmm.
And then the communists, they are the communists. They are they don't believe anything. So that is why this is a common enemy sort of situation there. And
but see, that is why. See, that is the same thing that happens in America now, because you have certain Christian sects, certain churches, not everybody. Most people are good people. Most people don't want trouble, but you always get an element. So when 9/11 happened, when all this happened, they saw it as a fulfilling of the end times. There are people who believe because now this conflict is happening, this will bring about the return of Jesus. So in a funny way, they're in favour of it, because the instability of different beliefs fighting for them will bring about the fulfilment of what is in Revelations.
Yeah, this is their prophecy actually.
Yeah.
Their prophecy. They believe in it actually.
Yeah, the prophecy. That's right. They believe it. So that's why I'm asking. When the Russians came to Afghanistan, did that spark off the same sort of thing in the minds of the Taliban?
No. What you're talking about the different perspective.
Yeah.
You're talking about like Armageddon, or the final war, something like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's not similar. But when they invaded Afghanistan, so the thing is that it's a attitude of the Afghan nationals. They simply they don't accept the foreign invasion or foreign occupation. So that is it's their history. Is their attitude,
So
there
will never be peace, or there will be peace?
There will be peace as soon as the American pull out their troops.
But that will see. But does that leave Afghanistan then as, what's the word I'm looking for? It will be, what's the society? It's like where you want to go backwards, so you live under like a fundamental rule.
You see, now these days, what's happening in Afghanistan? Is Afghanistan a progressive country now? What is happening in Afghanistan? Despite of having a NATO forces there, American forces over there, what they were doing there?
It won't be resolved.
It won't be resolved this.
Many people believe that.
Thing is that if you want your boys to be safe, pull them out. Pull your troops out and let the Afghan people decide, because we are not in a position to dictate them, or we should not.
Okay.
Because I don't want anybody to dictate me, so why should I dictate you?
What do you think? Eventually, in my opinion, eventually what will happen is the troops will leave, the same as happened in Vietnam. No matter what, this is just my opinion, no matter what they put in place, it won't work.
Yep, right.
Let's assume the troops leave. What will happen there?
Thing is that if the peace can be there, because there is no if they leave, or I mean like a Russian leave.
Eventually they will. Eventually,
yeah, sooner or later.
Yeah.
Sooner, or maybe it will take more 1 decade.
Well, let's assume that that's now happened.
Mm-hmm.
What will happen there? Because when you have a fundamental belief like the Taliban, which is no different, in my opinion, to fundamental Christianity, they're both harsh.
Yep.
Because
right.
there are fundamental Christian sects who will say no education, no science, girls must not be educated.
Yep.
Will that continue in Afghanistan?
Now it is continuing in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
It's still, despite of American occupation.
Yes.
But it's still there.
Yes.
Have you been able to change the society?
No.
If you have a power on it, you actually invaded Afghanistan. The US have invaded Afghanistan. They are there, but still,
no.
They can't do that, or they don't want to do that. I don't know about that. But the situation is that it's remain the same. The thing is that there is no Taliban regime there. That's it. But more or less, Taliban, Afghanistan's, the way of life is remains same. Remain same. There is no single change over there.
Is it bad not to educate women?
Yes, it is bad. It is against Islam as well. But thing is that most of the Taliban, they are not, they are. I think most of them, they are illiterate as well.
Yes, okay.
That they are illiterate. So the thing is that we have to make them, understand, or spread the literacy among them, or win the hearts and mind, rather than of shooting bullets. Because you can't win war like this.
How do you win the hearts and minds?
I think should give them a good literacy or education, or ask them to see the different angle of life as well.
Because that's dangerous in a place where fundamentalism rules, trying to convince people that girls should be educated.
Or whatever, but the worst thing is happening. If the American troops are there. So the worst thing is happening, you are getting yourself killed. That's it. This is what my humble request to the Australian government as well. Don't send your boys over there. It's a hellhole. Let them decide, actually.
Okay,
Let them decide. You can just observe, or you can give them good advice. That's it. But you can't force them. That's it.
I think the thing, and I don't know because I'm not an expert in anything, if they leave Afghanistan, how does the world then stop them expanding? What if it's seen, well, now we win this, we spread further? Will that stop if Afghanistan
thing is that
returned?
the Taliban took over Kabul in 1990, the end of 95. I think it's a very early 96. They entered into Kabul, and since 95, 96 till 2001 October, they were there. And because I'm from Pakistan, so from Pakistani point of view, that was not a single bomb explosion took place in Pakistan, not a suicidal attacks. We haven't heard. We just know only suicidal attacks in Israel or Palestine there, not in our region. And we didn't have to put a soldier over there. We didn't have to send any single soldier over there. So there is no problem between both the borders. And Pakistan was safe as well. And even in Afghanistan, they were a very peaceful country. No problem at all. Only we can, disagree about the philosophy of Taliban as well. The way they want to live. We don't agree, you don't agree. That is something else. But 2001, from 96 to 2001, very peaceful environment there. You see?
How would you react to somebody saying, well, if you came from Pakistan for a better life in Australia, should you not stay in Pakistan to make for a better life there?
You can't try.
You can't try?
You can't try because it's institutionally collapse. They're going collapse, especially after 9/11.
So what will happen to Pakistan now?
Oh,
say,
God forbid!
over 10
God forbid!
years.
God forbid! If we are, doing or we are going in the same path, which I really don't want them to go.
But that could happen. Do you think
So
Pakistan
it
could
can-
become an Islamic, not autocracy? What is it?
No.
Theocracy?
No, not at all. You think this? If Pakistan could have become a theocratic state, it could have become when the Taliban was ruling.
Okay. So you
You
don't
see?
think Pakistan is in danger of, say, becoming like
No,
Iran?
we have a different style of life.
Is that because of the British, original British?
Yeah, whatever. But thing is that we have a different style of life. We have a Islamic parties as well, and who usually take part in election as well. So they could not get more than a 6%.
Right.
From
Because
the
the Reverend Bob, I think he said to me words to the effect of, "It's very dangerous to be a Christian in Pakistan."
No.
It's not.
No, not at all. Not at all. That was a wrong perception. That is a really wrong perception. But thing is that it's not a matter of Christian or Hindu or any other religion of Pakistan. But the citizen of Pakistan would be in danger. With the Broadway.
So you think everyone's in danger
Yes,
no matter what?
yes, because there is no safety and security. The last day, yesterday, the incident took place in Karachi. One of the big, a garments factory.
Yeah.
They burned out.
It burned down, yeah.
Burned down. But I think the cause of incident maybe a short circuit or whatever. But main thing is that there is no precaution measures.
Because you say there's no health and safety there.
No health and safety. And now for the recent, the death toll is more than 300 people.
Because I think you said to me at one stage, and then people say, "Oh, well, that's just the will of Allah," and you said, "Well, of course it's not. It's people not being responsible."
Yeah, that's right. You put your bad deeds, just to blame Allah. That's not on.
Now, you were saying to me, which was interesting, because we have spent some time together, because you were saying for the average person in Pakistan, life is very hard, and you said to me, you know how milk is $3 for 3 litres, it's $1 a litre,
Yeah.
and you said in Pakistan it's $1 a litre there too, but the problem is people get paid about $2 a day.
Yes.
So how many children there suffer from malnutrition, don't get enough to eat?
Oh, you can't even count them. It's heaps. And they don't want to show any statistical, because in Pakistan, you see, I'm from Pakistan, but I have to mention it. They don't consider the importance of life.
Right.
Yeah, that is why we not as a provincial government or federal government, they don't take any responsibility about the health and safety and about the betterment of the common people.
So that essentially, though, goes against
Islam.
what Islam stands for.
You see, the thing is that in most of the European countries or Western countries, even in Australia, the practicing Islam can be seen here as well. Because the thing is that those who are Christian or atheists, what they are doing in their personal life or personal transaction, majority they don't tell a lie when you are in the business transaction. You see, that is Islam.
Okay, once upon a time, India and Pakistan was under the British crown, and it was one country.
Yes.
Then when the British said, okay, it's time for us to go, colonialism must stop,
Yes.
they divided the two countries.
Yep.
Because Pakistan was more predominantly Muslim, and then India were Hindus and Sikhs.
Yeah, that was a different cause actually. Why Pakistan came into existence is a different story, because we know that the British sooner or later they have to go.
Yeah.
They have to go. But thing is that if the democracy will prevail, so the one man one vote sort of situation, and the Muslims, the party, the Congress party over there, the Congress party was not taking care of the common people, common person, like for example Muslims.
Yeah.
So the Muslims want themselves some sort of a surety.
Right.
You see, so that is why we took this country, and that was a great effort behind that. It was a great effort.
Was life better under the British?
I was not that old.
But your father and your
yeah.
grandfather would remember. Was it? Is it one of those things where, in some ways, it was better, but in some ways it was worse? But like, was there less poverty under the British or not?
The poverty is there, but thing is that its management was good.
See, the funny thing is, in a country like Australia, because it's, I don't know how much you know of the indigenous people, the Aboriginals, the indigenous people, of course, they saw the British as the invaders.
Mm-hmm.
The British came to Australia and said, this land is unoccupied, so we will take it.
Inhabited, yeah.
Yeah, which of course the indigenous, the Aboriginal people said, well, actually, no, we were here. It wasn't unoccupied. Mm-hmm. So in a country like Australia, which is a wealthy country, we have always, even the people of British descent, who now call themselves Aussies, take great pleasure in saying, the British, that was terrible, it was terrible. Did the people of Pakistan and India see the occupation by the British there as terrible? Or did they see it in a different way?
The thing is that because it's been a long time ago, maybe more than 65 years ago, so at that time of a nation is gone, perished. So now they think that we should have a British now.
We should bring them back.
Something like, because it's not because it's our fault. We are not managing our people good. We're not administrating our country in a better way.
Right.
So that is why we used to think about that. Oh, right, because that's a foreign occupation. That was the foreign ruler. They got a certain laws. In order to keep the India enslaved, they made a different sort of legislation.
Yeah.
But the same legislation is not can't be seen in UK.
Yeah.
Because it's a colony.
But that's the funny thing, isn't it? But there was almost an affection for each other. And I think that's probably the argument that some Australians make now about Australia becoming a republic, where they say, yes, if we throw off the British crown, what do we replace it with? So, in many ways, such a prosperous nation as Australia should have thrown off the British colonialism a long time ago.
Yes.
But we didn't. But countries like India and Pakistan and places like that somehow managed to gain their independence. But then, like, when the occupying force leaves, things don't always get better. And I think that's some things that some Australians say, well, if we are not a Commonwealth nation
but the thing
anymore,
is that
what will happen to
you are
us?
the same breed as well. We are the descendant from the Britishers. So and as far as indigenous people concerned, they are in the less in population. They are in the minority, I think, not more than a 10% in the society.
Well, they are in the minority, but you have to remember there were a lot of atrocities. The British were very brutal towards the indigenous population, and they are scars which to this day have not healed. And someone like me, someone like myself with white skin, well, it's pink really, but white skin, might say, if I'm tempted, or someone like me might say, well, the past is the past. They should get over it. They should realise all the wonderful things we have here for them and forget about it, and let's all move on. But human beings are complicated creatures.
Yeah, that's right.
And things don't always just work as simply as that.
Yes.
So as I say, you have turmoil in Pakistan and in other places of the world when... See, it's funny because the old USSR, when they dominated Europe, and you had what is now Serbia, Croatia, which I think they just called Yugoslavia.
Yugoslavia, yeah.
Because there were little differences between people in various places. But because the USSR was ruling them, those little differences didn't seem as important as getting rid of the USSR. But once the USSR collapsed, then all the old tensions started to rise up again.
That's right. That's right.
is that something? Do you think that happened in Pakistan with the leaving of the British? Did it bring back what may have been there before?
No, that's some kind of, it can be some kind of a joke that we should bring the British Crown back. But the thing is that our performance is not very good. That is why 80 years old man can see. Oh, I had seen the British era, so that was a good. Why that was a good? Because the administration was good. At least administration, the law and order. So the law and order was very good there.
Because they just transposed British law. That's the same thing they did
because
in Australia. They just brought the British law with them.
They are not, from any sect of society there. They are a neutral sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they used to do the justice, at least on the broader way.
But they basically threw a blanket over everything and just said, this is how it will be.
Yeah.
So as I say, then most people are...
A lot of good thing happened as well, because they introduced the railway system there in the subcontinent, Indian subcontinent. They postal system and a lot of things. Even the radio station there, and the newspapers and media. So, these things came under the British Crown.
So I guess basically what you're saying is you don't hold out much hope for Pakistan.
I don't want to lose my hope, but the thing is that if we are going on the same direction, it is something very catastrophic is gonna be gonna happen to Pakistan, and God forbid it won't happen.
What would be the worst thing that could happen?
It can become a dismember if we are going to the same direction. So we have to get rid of the corrupt mafia from the government, from the society. This is because Pakistan now is a very welfare state only for a 2-3% people. For the more than 95% people, they are living, under the poverty line.
Should Western societies do more to help?
Yeah, at least they.
Should we send less guns and more education?
That's right. But thing is that especially USA or the Western society, they help the dictators. In Pakistan, like Musharraf, like Ziaul Haq, like any other military dictatorship, or even the corrupt, they actually they helped in bringing such a corrupt mafia like the president here in Pakistan.
See, we in the West, we turn a blind eye to things we don't want to see. For example, we would say it's terrible that Iran has become a theocracy. They are our enemies. It's terrible what has happened in Afghanistan. They're our enemies. They commit atrocities. It's terrible what happened in Iraq. They were our enemies. But then the West will pick and choose its friends in countries that are not necessarily any better for their human rights records. And you could say that of Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, there are very brutal things that happen with a regime that... if you find yourself on the wrong side of it, very brutal things can happen. Yet the Western democracies would say, but they're our friends.
Yes.
So we wouldn't dare say it's terrible someone got stoned to death or beheaded or something happened there, because we wouldn't want to make waves there. But if it's some country we don't like, if the same thing happens there, we'll be the first ones to stand up and say how terrible that is.
The thing is that in the world politics, there is no principle. There is no principle rules. There's a interest rule. If something is in my interest or it serves my purpose, I will go for it.
It's basically about oil?
Yes. Of course, it's a truth like a sun.
That is basically...
that is basically because of the oil there.
Because we always... the West always seems to go marching in to liberate places that seem to have oil. Whereas in certain, say, parts of Africa where there are terrible dictators and there's no oil, we turn a blind eye to that. Oh, no, we won't help them because they've got nothing.
Thing is that, doing such exercise to liberate a country or to, impose a war cost money.
And so you've got to finance it some way.
Yes, that is why, don't you know about the WMD? That was the main cause to attack Iraq. But there was no WMD. The thing is that if Iraq had WMD, nobody dared to attack Iraq. That's simple.
Right.
Like if Iraq had nuclear arsenal, then nobody wanted to attack.
Well, in my opinion, I always found that what happened in Iraq to be particularly bad because of the first Gulf War.
Yes.
Because George Bush Sr. and some of the American listeners might like it, some won't. I always felt that the US, unfortunately, and I'm not talking about brave soldiers, there are many brave soldiers, people who get caught up in this, but the biggest problem with the first Gulf War was that they encouraged people in Iraq to rise up against Saddam Hussein, and they said, we'll be there for you, we will help you. So people rose up, and then at the last minute, George Bush Sr. said, okay, we're just going to pull the troops out, we're going. And they left all those people in Iraq who actually rose up with no protection.
No protection at all.
So you couldn't blame then the people of... Then Saddam Hussein hung on to power for a long time, and he killed those people. You couldn't blame the families of those people then for not trusting the US. So by the time they came back the second time, any real potential friends they had there were gone. Because it was like the first time you told us to stand up, you said you would come, and we did, and then you didn't come. And we were at the mercy of this dictator.
But thing is that the dictator used to be a very good friend of Rumsfeld, a very good friend of George Bush, U.S. administration, while they were fighting against Iran.
Yep.
So when they were serving their purpose, so
which it was the war between Iraq and Iran was a brutal, cruel.
That was a stupid war as well. And there's the two, the brother Muslim countries were fighting with each other for what?
Yeah.
And what did they gain? I don't know.
A lot of people died.
But they kept fighting for what? I really don't know. Why? Why is that? And what the result?
Well, I think the reason they fought was because even though in his last years Saddam Hussein professed to be a good Muslim, the truth was he wasn't. Mm-hmm. When it suited him, he would get down on the prayer mat and show, "Oh, look at me! I'm very religious." But he wasn't. He wasn't.
He was a secular.
Baath
Party, socialist, Baath Party.
That's right. And of course, when Iran became a theocracy, his fear was, well, what happens if this spreads?
Yeah, because at that time Iraq had a good number of Shias.
Yeah,
a Shia sect of Muslims. So that is why he was afraid of it as well. But when the war ended, and during the war, Saddam Hussein was the blue-eyed, from the American or British perspective, and they used to give them a lot of finance, or not finance, in terms of weapon as well. Mm-hmm. So that is why the Iraq army got strong, very strong there.
So it's a funny thing, isn't it? You have a superpower like the USSR getting involved in Afghanistan, and then really no good comes of it. You have, as I say, ever-shifting kind of foreign policy with the US. 1 minute, so they were basically funding Iraq against Iran. So you have yet again another example of a superpower kind of meddling in things. And then in the aftermath of it all, it turns into a horrible thing.
Yes.
Yet on the other hand, as you say, you had Britain in Pakistan, but then people would like them to come back. But is it just human beings? We just can't get along.
No, but the thing is that
do you think though that religion and certain types? So I had the same thing with the Christian minister, where he said, "Oh, I'm not a religion. I'm Christian." That Christianity is different to religion because all the rest are religions, but I'm a Christian. And I would say to him, look, and even when I told him I was going to interview you, "Oh, well, you tell him he mustn't bring his ways here." And I tried to say the same thing. Humans take on a religion or an ideology, and then we just all do terrible things to each other.
Thing is that it's whose the fault is this? Not a religion's fault. It's a fault of the humankind.
I know. And I said to him, do you think the Bible in the wrong hands is a very dangerous book?
Yeah,
that's one thing he did agree. He said yes. And I would ask you the same thing of the Quran. The Quran in the wrong hands, someone who twists it to do what they want, is that a dangerous book in the wrong hands?
Yeah, but they're not an excuse. If they are doing, they have to pay their own deeds actually. Because those who are using a Quran or using a religion as a tool to spread hatred, tool to use a political mileage.
Yeah. And I would ask you the same question though: why doesn't God or Allah? Why doesn't He stop this? Why doesn't? If Allah is the God of peace, do you believe that?
Yes.
and I ask the same thing of the Christian people with God. Why does he allow this to happen?
The thing is that God want us to do that. God not doing himself like the God is not a in the form of human. Then he went down and stopped stopping us. It won't do like that. But thing is that we have to. We have to. The people.
Does God have, or Allah, does he have the power to intervene?
He has every power. But thing is that
why would he not stop this?
the thing is that because we are in the examination hall. Thing is that I'm sorry to say, but I'm talking from my perspective.
Yeah, I want to hear your perspective. Yeah.
The thing is that we are in the examination hall.
Okay.
So the teacher is there. But he can intervene as well. He can let you know that this question is this, but where is the examination now? The examination means we have to solve our question paper. We have got a questionnaire here. So whatever we do here, we'll have to we'll have to pay the price. See. Not only here, but also day after.
But see, this is the thing, though. I think of all the children that suffer. When my son was born, he was a little baby, and your sons were born. When they're little babies, they know nothing about this.
This is our responsibility to teach them.
And
that's it.
Someone like, I think, Richard Dawkins said, when you see children, little children, you shouldn't say, well, that's a Muslim child, there's a Christian child, there's a Jewish child. They shouldn't be called that. They're children. They're not one thing or the other. And if I watch our boys play, when they're not wrestling and fighting and screaming, I want this, he's had it too long, no. I look at them as children, and I see in children, young children like ours, the amazing acceptance they have for one another. They just see each other as playmates. They don't know of everything else.
That's right.
How does it go from that to that? And that's why I say, why do you think Allah, or if I was asking a Christian, why do you think God sees these beautiful children who are so innocent?
Yes.
And then they are, I mean, in Australia, children don't see that brutality that goes on in the world, but why is that allowed to happen?
Why this? You see, the thing is that when the children were born here, like you are saying right, they are innocent. But thing is that we have to give them a good teaching. If we are not a good parents, or we ignore them, then what will happen? Lots of bad things happen here in Western countries as well. Somebody can become a robber. Somebody can become a dacoit or something like that. So why? Because the parents actually did not pay much attention, or maybe the environment. They plays a major role in converting them into what they want to be. See, so that is why it's our duty or responsibility we are carrying on our shoulders to mold them. We should teach them a good things from even from the Western society as well. From the good thing, because I think every religion teaches you a good thing, not a bad thing. Teach you a good thing. But it's for us.
It starts out that way, but it doesn't always end that way.
Yeah, I know that. That is why I'm saying it's not the problem of religion. It's the problem of the man itself. If they don't want to, you see, that's the book says you have to do this thing, but we said now I want to do this thing. So I don't want to listen the book what they say. I want to listen from my heart. What I think it is right. It can be right, it can be wrong. I don't know, but I want to try.
There was one passage I read in the Quran which I must admit I liked better than what I saw in the Bible, and it talked about somewhere in there that the Quran at least recognizes there are other people who are holy who are outside the religion.
Yes, I would believe in Jesus.
And that you must be very careful in the battlefield wherever to not kill, even though someone might be your enemy, because they may be truly a holy person. And that would be the difference in that text to what I've ever seen in Christianity, because in Christianity you have to believe Jesus is the Son of God, and that God is in three parts. He is their Son, the Father, and the Ghost, right?
Yes.
And Christianity is very strict. If you do not accept Jesus, you cannot get to God. And that would be the difference. In that one passage that I read from the Quran somewhere said that even people of other faiths, amongst them, there are holy people.
Yeah, the thing is that I can let you know that when the Jerusalem was in the Muslims, Arab at that time, in the hand, and they invaded this area. So one of the temple, Jewish synagogue, I think they call the synagogue, that they were there. So the troops, the Muslim troops, some of the commander wanted to pray inside the synagogue. So the caliph there, Hazrat Umar, the caliph, he forbade him. He said, no, you if you want to pray, you pray somewhere else or outside the synagogue, not inside the synagogue.
Not inside the synagogue.
Because we have to, pay respect to the synagogue or the church, whatever, because that's the holy places.
There is a big.
Otherwise, if he did let them do what they want, so the thing is that it's sort of a conversion starts.
Yeah.
Then by force we convert church into the mosque. By force we convert the synagogue or any other holy place convert into the mosque, and that shouldn't happen in accordance with Islam.
The funny thing is, I had a friend who came from Egypt, and I believe he was involved in that short war with Israel. Was there a 6-day war or something like that?
Yes, two war fought between Israel and Arab countries, and one is 1967 and another is 73.
73. I think he was involved in that, and of course Egypt came under a lot of criticism because they were one of the few Arab nations to actually recognise the state of Israel.
Yes.
And he used to talk on, I can't say that he liked Israel very much, but I was amazed by how much he actually didn't know about Israel. When he ran a restaurant, and I said one day, I said, well, of course you wouldn't serve pork, because they had lamb and chicken and beef, but you wouldn't serve pork because it's against your religion. And he was then surprised when I said, well, of course Jewish people don't eat pork either. And he was like, really? Don't they? And I said, no, they don't. And like the Jewish tradition of circumcision is the same for Muslims.
And like a halal, they call kosher.
The kosher. And so the funny thing is, in many ways, much of Islam actually has a lot in common with Israel, with Jewish religion, with the Torah.
Because the three religion, the Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, they belong to the one, like it's like a pyramid, It's belong to the Prophet Abraham.
Why is there such a divide there, though? Because it's interesting in the fact that, and I noticed this with Reverend Bob that I was talking to, is very good terms with the Jewish religion. Okay, yes, they don't accept Jesus. Okay, but that's a mistake. One day they will. Hopefully. You see a greater alliance, and people will say we have Judeo-Christian values. And I noticed it in this documentary when the man took the Indian people, and there was a protest outside the detention centre. And the protesters were saying, we can't have any more refugees. The place is full. We can't afford it. And then the one thing the guy said was, oh, yes, but Australia is built on Christian and Jewish beliefs.
Okay.
And yet Christianity, apart from the Old Testament, is probably every bit as incompatible with each other as Islam is to the Jewish faith. But between them is a great divide. Why, certainly from an outsider's perspective, why is Islam, or why are the Islamic countries and Israel so opposed to each other? What
thing is that Israel, now from my perspective or my perception about Israel may be a different. It can be different.
But I say, what do you think?
Yeah, thing is that Israel now it's a fact. Israel is a country, whether you like or not like. You know?
Is it because the occupation of the land they have?
Yeah, that's right.
Or did the hate? Did the I won't say hate. Well, hatred, dislike. Does the dislike go back before that as well?
Yeah, the thing is that the before maybe for Second World War, there was no Israel existent there.
No.
I think it came into existence in 1947.
Yeah, when they decided, okay, we'll find a piece of land, they call it a homeland.
Yeah, right. You're right. The thing is that before that was not any country. No, not much. Judas, used to live over there.
Yeah.
Most of them they used to live in European side.
Yeah, where no matter where they were, they weren't welcome.
Thing is that they came here and the land of the peace was given to them, so they can make a country over there, and they claim their land that our forefathers like 5,000 years ago they used to live. The one day if it happens like you that the Aborigines came here and said you are living here used to be our farm.
Oh well, that is what is said. It is said that you have invaded our land.
So what? I mean, how would you feel like that? So that's it's stupid. It's 5,000 years ago. Whatever.
But so most of the hostility is really about the occupation of the land rather than the belief of the people, or
not a belief of the people, because we can recognize. Islam recognized two religions out of Islam.
Yeah.
Not Buddhism or Hinduism or any other ism.
But it grew from the Old Testament in the same way Christianity did?
And Judaism, because we believe that the Moses is a mightiest prophet of the God.
Yeah, so that
like Jesus.
Yeah. So at some point the religions split. It was 1400 years ago. Muhammad saw the angel, heard the music in the cave. He felt inspired, and then he took the basis, which was the story of all the Old Testament, and took it in the direction and created Islam.
You can say that, yes.
So we all grew from the Judeo book in the first place, though.
Yeah, but thing is that the rules and regulation of the God, it changed after a certain period. That is why the God or Allah sent a lot of messenger. Somebody holds a book, somebody does not, but they send a lot of from according to Islam it may be 124,000 prophets. They actually had come to world. So the Muhammad was the last. So after him, so there is no more prophet will ever come. That is our faith. So he was the last. So before him is Jesus, second last, and we believe in Jesus as well, but in the different direction. We don't believe he is a God, but he is a prophet of God.
Why do you think that happened? Why do you think that the Christians accepted Jesus as a son of God, but Islam sees him as a prophet? Why? What was different for Islam that it just said no? This just
because
cannot
the God, to become a God, we have got a test stone. One of the surah is a test stone. I mean, the God, not begotten son. God cannot be a father, not be like a human relatives.
So we are not made in God's image?
No, the thing is that the God can't be a God if it is a human,
Right.
It's beyond that.
But Christianity would say God was there first, then he put himself into human flesh.
Why? He said, one of the argument given by the Christians, my Christian friends as well, that because because God came in the shape of Jesus to see the creator, because he was a creator. Now he wants to see the creator, how does they feel and how does they something like that.
Well, the Christians would argue he sent his son to be forgiven of the sins that humans had created. I don't know why they say that. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me either, but for the sake of the discussion. And Christians will say, well, no, we are made in God's image. God looks just like us. In Islam, what does God look like? Does God look like a human? Does God look like a spirit? What does...
You see, it's beyond the imagination. That is why the God can be felt. God, you can't even see on your eyes. If God permits you, that's something else. But only the prophets, I think, maybe they can. I really don't know. They can see or not, because it's a beyond that.
So is this
Beyond that? So you can't make any shape, any image. Once you start creating an image, that is you are doing some sort of idol worship.
okay? So
That
that's
is against
idolatry.
Islam.
And that's against Islam. So that's the same thing where Islamic people get very upset if someone tries to draw an image of Muhammad.
Yes, that's right. It's a caricature. No, we are not allowed. It's a blasphemy for us.
Why?
It's a blasphemy because those who saw the Prophet himself, they were dead. You see, the Sahaba, the companion of the Prophet,
So if they saw him when he was
they
alive,
saw him.
they
He
died.
was alive. He was alive when he was alive.
Yeah.
So he died 1400 years
Yeah.
ago. So how can you make a caricature? Because at that time there is no photograph or something like that.
Why would that be seen as offensive, though?
Because
Just because it is, or what's the reason?
The thing is that even we are a practicing Muslim or not, like I'm not very much practicing Muslim, just a normal, not a very practicing Muslim, But thing is that even if you are a dacoit, even if you are a corrupt or whatever, you are in the form of any, even you don't believe, certain rules of Islam as well, or you don't want to be a practical Muslim. Maybe secular, or maybe even if you think that I don't want to believe in such a thing, but if you are a Muslim, even a so-called Muslim, you have a love and affection with the Prophet. That is the part of our belief. That is a part of our, I think, life as well. So we like if somebody using abusive words of your parents about your mom, about your dad, how would you feel? You won't feel happy, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
You won't feel happy, even if you are not in a position to stop him. So you can feel in your heart that it is not whatever he was saying. I don't want to hear anymore. Something like that. You feel it,
Yeah.
So it is the Prophet. He is beyond that. He is beyond our parents. Muslim can't be a Muslim if he doesn't love to the Prophet. Even he is not practicing, but love is always there. So we do not want others to make any sort of bad things like a caricature or other thing which is against our belief, and it hurts a lot of Muslim people's sentiments. So that is why they can get emotional. So it's very hard to understand if you are from Western community or Christian, or because I think that the most of the Christian they don't feel this thing like regarding
Well, some do. It depends on the particular brand of Christianity.
But thing is that Muslims are very touchy about that.
Some Christians are very angry. For example, some Christians hate the whole idea of the Catholic Church because they see the Catholic Church as having almost the same worship for the Virgin Mary, who was supposedly the mother of Jesus, and they find that offensive because you're almost worshipping her as much as you should be worshipping Jesus. So that some say that's idolatry. And because the Catholic Church has a pope, and many Catholics certainly in the olden days, whatever the Pope said, because he was if he said something, then that's the rules, because he is God's representative. So many other Christian sects see that as very offensive because that's idolatry. You're worshipping the Pope, but you're not worshipping God. He's just a figurehead. You shouldn't be having worship to him.
That's right.
You shouldn't worship the Virgin Mary because although she may be the mother of Jesus, she's not Jesus. So the idea of idolatry runs through a lot of religions, and in some ways even in the indigenous Aboriginal culture that is here. I don't know if you've noticed, but if you watch sometimes TV programs, especially on the ABC, it might be a program that contains footage of Aboriginal people, and the ABC will put a disclaimer before the show saying, because some of the people in this program may have died, we apologise in advance, because in the Aboriginal culture, once a person has died, it's not respectful to show pictures of them.
Okay, that's right.
So that is a theme that does run through a lot of cultures in one form or another.
Yeah, that's right. But as far as the Prophet Muhammad is concerned, the Muslims of the whole over the world, from Indonesia to the North Africa, they were very touchy about it, very sentimental. And the thing is that that we don't worship Prophet Muhammad. That's the main difference between the Christianity and Islam. We believe we love our Prophet, but we don't worship our Prophet.
But
we worship the God Almighty. That's it. We don't worship him.
But to see an image of him, if you don't worship him, like for example, some people say,
how can you say that it's his image?
Well,
can this be proven?
Well, it's the same thing when you see pictures of Jesus. It's not Jesus.
I don't.
And in the Western society, Jesus has always got white skin, but Jesus, if he was there, he wouldn't have looked like that.
Yeah,
His skin wouldn't be that color.
That's their problem. But even we respect and love Jesus as well. And in Islam, we don't want to make any
is that
caricature
all the prophets or just Muhammad?
No, not just.
So even an image of Jesus is still that's still offensive?
It's still offensive, but they don't follow this thing. But thing is that the Prophet Muhammad, he actually brought the Islam. He was the you can say there's one step around like a nucleus.
Yeah,
like a nucleus. So that is why we are very touchy about it. So, but thing is that Jesus, that Christianity holds that Jesus is our Lord or something like that. If you are not taking care of your Lord, it's your problem then.
Some people say that,
but we don't do it. We don't make any. We Muslim don't make any photograph of Jesus or Moses or.
So any of the prophets.
No, we don't.
Some people say in the world that people, you may have rights. And some people say, I'm very offended by this or that or whatever. Some people would argue, however, that people don't have an ultimate right not to be offended.
The thing is that
because sometimes that happens with people. I'm terribly offended by this or by that, and other people might say, well, your level of offence is probably something between is an issue for yourself. Like if someone said, you made him cry. Sometimes people will say, no, I didn't make him cry. He chose to cry.
Thing is that everybody knows that the Muslims are very sentimental about the Prophet,
Yes.
And in Islam we don't have any picture, not in the handmade picture or anything,
See,
so they knew very well that if we are doing it or if we are gonna do it, they will get hurt. They know the consequences. They will get hurt and they will respond. So keeping in this thing in your mind, and they do it. They do it again and again and again. They're still there. They make a caricature. They said because of freedom of expression. That is there you are trying to hide behind the curtain of freedom of expression. Can we allow? Somebody allow me to in Europe also that I can say that I don't believe in any Holocaust. Then what will happen? I will be put behind the bar. They will put me behind the bar because you can't say over there that you don't believe in Holocaust and then 60 million or 6 million Jews died.
Well, the difference there is there are historical records for that, and there are many people who argue that people should have freedom of speech, and that's the argument I think that I'm saying is that we all don't have the ultimate right not to be offended at something or another. And this is the thing about humans. It's not terribly hard to go to various places, and sometimes people innocently find that they've offended somebody because they didn't know the difference.
The thing is that if you don't know about that, or by mistake you committed something which is offended to someone else, that can be digestible, that can be understood. All right, you were not aware, and you by mistake you commit this thing, but now each and everything, and you know the response, but and still you want to do that.
But people do use that in the wrong hands. See, recently there's been a story in the paper there about a girl who had intellectual disabilities that she was burning pages of the
Yeah,
Quran.
it happened in Pakistan.
And now recently they've now charged that cleric, saying that he engineered that from
Yes, he
from
did.
thing.
He was the black sheep.
And
He fabricated it, actually.
because he would know that he could whip up anger in people by doing that.
It's a two-angle, it's a two-angle.
In the same way as you say that if somebody was to draw an image of Muhammad, all Muslims would take offense. See, that's dangerous because someone like him can use that to then whip up hatred amongst people.
That's
in the
right.
same way that if some fundamental Christians, if I was to say Mary was no virgin, Jesus was basically a bastard, he was as cruel, whatever, they would say, you've now offended me. So others can whip it up, like the same thing I was saying with the Revelation thing, where some fundamental Christians almost welcome that attack on the World Trade Center, because now it's like, now I can bring out all of my hatred. I can blame every Muslim for what happened at the World Trade Center.
Yes, that's right.
I can blame every single one because they shouldn't, like, no one should be different to me. And that's the danger of religion.
Yeah, but they're doing a bad thing, Now it is proven as far as the Rimsha Masih case in Pakistan, and she was mentally retarded, I think.
Yeah.
And she was underage as well, maybe 11, 12 years. And the cleric or the theocratic person over there, and he was trying to manipulate these things.
Yeah.
And he was trying to get rid of these families, Christian families from this area.
So that's what I said before. Is it dangerous to be a Christian in Pakistan?
But thing is that another cleric was there, and who disclosed this thing? Who disclosed in front of media that this person and this cleric has engineered this thing? I saw in my eyes. He was putting the pieces of the Holy Quran in this thing in this basket, or then he himself burned this thing or something like that, and handed over to Ramsha. Something like that. So now the thing is that now the table has turned.
Yeah.
So that's a very good thing, and I appreciate the law enforcement. Actually, they bailed out the Rimsha because she was so innocent.
Yeah.
She was innocent, and the main culprit is the cleric there.
Yeah.
And he was now he was in he's in prison.
Should he fear punishment from God, from Allah, for what he's done?
He was fanatic. He was what do you say, is a stupid guy, and he maybe most of them they think they are cleric, but they are not cleric. Decorating a beard or wearing some sort of the different cloth.
Yep.
Doesn't make you doesn't appoint you the status of the scholar. You see, you just demonstrate yourself, but you are not there. Like you are a donkey, look like a donkey. And if you wear stripes, you can't be a zebra.
How do other Muslims though? How do they rein this in? How do they stop this? Because this
Education. They have to raise questions. They have to read Quran. But thing is that a majority of the Muslims, they don't read Quran. Read means
the majority of Christians don't read the Bible.
That's the main problem for us as well, because if they recite Quran, the most of them they recite the Quran, but those who are the non-Arab background, they don't even know what is written there.
Yeah, because it's
different. It's different. I can recite, but I don't know exactly because I don't know the Arabic language.
So that's the same for you then. The Quran
isn't the Arabic.
See, that's very similar to in the Catholic Church, when the priest used to tell the people, you must not read the Bible because you can't really understand what is in there.
No, but thing is that in Islam we have to read the Quran. We have to read the Quran with the understanding.
But if you don't read, if you don't understand the Arabic language,
That's the problem. But you can have it translated, no problem at all. In a Quran is available in every language. Every language.
Does it suffer in translation?
No problem. And not a. It can be a like an Australian way of English or a British English or American English can be a little bit different, but the summary would be same. A central idea would be the same. It may be the way that we actually use it, the language we use it, but the main idea is there. You see, one sentence I can communicate to you in a different ways, but you can take the same meaning.
Yes.
But we can, the way we can use a different ways, this way and that way, this way that. But you can, what the message is sent to you, it will be the same.
So, why do you believe? Not just because of what you read, but why? Because you have your diploma of business, you said, is that right?
So MBA, Master of Business
And
Administration.
you are.
I'm doing a BIT as well.
You are if one of your family is sick or you are sick, you will go to a doctor.
Yes.
You will use science to help you.
Yeah, that's right.
And in many ways in your life, you will seek reason and proof for much of your life around you.
That's right.
And why then do you believe in a being in the sky? If God has not revealed himself to you personally, why would you have faith? Why would you say, okay, I'm prepared to believe this?
That's a very fundamental thing, I think
for you, just for you. Why would you?
No, not for me. It's for everyone as well. The fundamental thing is that being on Earth, you can recognize yourself. Everybody can recognize yourself, ourselves, that that we are here.
Yeah.
But we are the creatures, but with somebody here to create us. So a creator must be there, because without the creator you can't make anything.
Okay, and I would ask the same thing of the priest the other day. Then, if you have faith in that creator, God, Allah,
Yes.
right,
Yes.
Yahweh, whatever, who then created that creator?
Then who then created that creator?
Exactly.
You see.
But what I'm saying is, by believing in that, you actually open up more questions.
No.
Thing you
is
answer.
that creator can't be a creator.
Why?
The creator, the one and only, the God, Allah.
Yeah.
He created himself. Actually, he is a creator.
How?
He is a creator.
How?
Oh, if I know that, I will become a god. How can I know that? How? But it is written there, and even the thing is that it's you can feel like somebody was telling me that I can't see God, so I don't believe God. It's simple. He said to me, I said, can you see the Japan?
Yes, but it's there.
It's not there.
But it is there.
It's not there.
It is there. It's corroborated with evidence. See.
So
I can look into the universe. I can look at the stars. I can see them.
See, so that is the evidence of that is the evidence of the God, that we are here. That the sun and moon and there. So somebody there, the creator must be there. And one of the argument between one of the Islamic scholar, I think is 1,000 years ago, that was very interesting. The one of the atheists as well, and he said, I do not believe any God or anything. That's sort of as rubbish. I don't believe it. So he said, okay, then. So he said, how about you want to argue with me? All right, we are ready to argue with you. So Islamic scholar, this scholar said, okay, I'm not free now. Can we make it possible on coming Monday? He said, all right, where do you want me to come? He said, the other side of the river, other bank of the river. He said, all right. So what time? He said 2:00. So now the Monday came, and the atheist was there, and he was waiting for the Islamic scholar to come. So he came. Scholar came there, but I think it's half an hour. At least he got late. So he said, "Mate, you got late." I kept waiting for you half an hour, and you just came here. So you say, he said, oh, no, you don't know. When I was other side of the river, I saw the trees. And the trees and the branches, they cut it, cut it down themselves. And the ferry, the boat, their boat was made automatically. And then I, use this boat and I come here. He said, no, that's the very first thing. You are a liar. Nobody can believe you. A boat can't be built if there is nobody. How can the boat can never be built like automatically like this. He said, like, this is the word I want to prove this in. If the boat can't be built without any
creator,
then
there
the
can't be
whole
a world without the creator.
That's it's the point of the argument as well.
Well,
No, thing is that I'm not a scholar or something like that. I'm just an ordinary person.
We know it's here. And as I've said, even if you disprove the Big Bang, even if you disprove the theory of even if you disprove all that stuff, it still doesn't explain why we're here. It makes some people feel better to think that there is a God, but
you think one more.
Why would God make it? It's so. What I'm saying is, and I've said this before, is why make it such a mystery? If an all-powerful creator, why then leave us here in such confusion?
Not in confusion, because in order to resolve your confusion, the God, he kept sending their prophets, their messengers here, time to time. The last was the Muhammad. From our perspective, last was the Muhammad, peace be upon him. So from Adam to Muhammad, there was a 124 approximately 124,000 messenger kept coming time to time.
So in Islam, do you have the story of Noah's Ark?
Sorry?
Because you had Adam and Eve.
Yes.
You have Abraham.
Yes. Noah.
So you had Noah's Ark, the boat with the animals.
Yes. You believe in it.
You believe that? So you
because it's written in our script as well in the Holy Quran. Noah. We believe in Solomon. We believe in David.
Do you believe?
Isaac?
Do you believe in the Noah's Ark as more of a story to make people understand morals, or do you really believe there was an ark?
Yeah, but if it is as long as it is it is written in the Quran, because that's the boundary of touchstone of everything. It's a Quran. If it is written in the Quran, we have to believe in it. God, we have to believe in it.
After the world had all that water, and only a small amount of people to tend all those animals, they then land in mud where there's no food for the animals to eat, and somehow, in the time of a few thousand years, all those different species are all over the planet, but there are no kangaroos in Pakistan or India, but they're only here in Australia. All those insect species, somehow in that short period of time, from that one ark, how?
The thing is that you are taking this thing out of the context, I think.
What is the context?
The context is this not a whole world. It's not a whole world. It's not the area, because...
So you think the flood was just in a small area?
It can be a bigger, but it's a context what there, because it's the human are not at that time the population is not very big. I think population is not very big. They live only in the Babylon area.
Which is a little bit closer to the mic. Yeah.
The Babylon area and other areas, so not very But thing is that it's still if you say the indigenous people history as well.
Yeah.
So the one of the big a very big flood. So still they know it is a thousands years ago. They think that they got a flood as well.
But I mean, that's people in America believe the Grand Canyon came from Noah's flood. That it wasn't erosion over millions of years. It was the flood.
If it is proven, it is not proven.
No,
so
but that's what I'm saying. It's not proven at all.
It's not proven about that canyon and other thing, but it is there that the Noah's flood came.
So you think it was smaller?
Yes,
it was just the world to them, not the whole world. Just their little bit of the world.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yes.
Okay.
But because thing is that in Quran, it is not the make it fantasy. It is just mentioned there.
Okay.
It happened. That's it.
We'll get off that subject. I got to ask you this because you came here, you migrated to Australia, you filled out all your paperwork, you did all that stuff,
Yes.
which must have been hard work
Yeah.
to organise all of that. I'd love to go into it, but you're here. How do you feel about the refugee people, the boat people, who are fleeing parts of the world where life is bad? Would you agree that they're jumping the queue, things as you came legally and did all the right things?
Yes. Yes.
Or do you think Australia should be more humanitarian, more giving, and more understanding to the people that are fleeing?
Thing is that the two aspect. The some of them you can see that why they are leaving their countries, like
Yes.
in keeping in view that they can be in danger. No, I mean they it is not sure that they can see the Australia. They can see the death. You see, so how desperate they were.
Yes.
They are very desperate. So that is why the situation sometimes really worst. Because those who can afford to come here, if the country, those who are living in the country like Afghanistan or like African countries, Ethiopia, Sudan, the life is in danger.
Yep.
So they want to some sort of set shelter there. But apart from it, I really condemn the human smuggling.
Okay.
Because the genuine people, they are there, but the majority of the part, they are not genuine. Sorry to say that.
Okay.
They are not genuine, and they are involved in the human smuggling.
Right.
So the Australian government should stop this human smuggling because they are making a lot of money out of it.
Okay.
There are a lot of
But
money.
they're taking advantage of some very desperate people.
That's right. That's right.
If you had been rejected to come here, and let's say Pakistan became more dangerous, would you yourself have considered taking that risk of getting on a boat?
I don't know if the really situation is worse like that.
But if it was,
then I will. Yeah, but it's still I think I don't take such decision because I won't be sure that I can see the Australia because it's a huge distance, and on the boat my family can be in danger, and my I can survive, but what will happen to my kids? I don't take such danger.
But if you'd been in danger where you were,
it depends. It depends what sort of danger it is. If it's a really life-threatening danger, so I would definitely do something else. Do not try the boat because it's really dangerous. I do something else. I should migrate to India or any other border country or somewhere else, or try to go to somewhere else. Not try to use a boat. That's really dangerous.
It's interesting to hear you say that. It is interesting because
no, but you can't you can get your kids dead killed.
Yeah.
Because a huge distance of this ocean, it will take maybe months time to come here.
But then many people who probably do that think, well, we're going to get killed here, so we take a chance.
That can be their decision, and we can understand that. But if you ask me, especially for me, so I think I can't take such decision because if I were alone, then I can take it, but not along with my kids.
How have you found? Now you've been here how long?
A couple of years.
2 years. There's an old expression, I don't know if you've heard it: a square peg in a round hole.
Yes.
You've heard of that expression? Coming to Australia after living in Pakistan, did you ever feel like a square peg in a round hole? Were there things that you just got here and you think, what is going on here?
Thing is that when I came here very first time, and the thing is it's some sort of a cultural shock as well, and language problem. Yeah. Because because in India and Pakistan, English is understood there.
Yeah.
We can learn English there. We can speak English sometime, and even the official language of Pakistan and India is English.
Is English, yeah.
And the medium of instruction for the education, higher education, is English also. So it is easier for us to go to the English-speaking country rather than going to a French or German or any other European country. So, but thing is that Australian dialect or pronunciation.
Yeah, because I can be a bit broad sometimes. You can't always understand
Yes.
what they're saying. Yeah, did you catch that, mate? Yeah. Nah, going to footy, have a couple of pies. Yeah, nah, good. A few beers. Yeah.
Something like so. It's a very at that time I was reluctant to reply them because sometimes I couldn't get the message what they are saying. Like one of the instance, for instance, I was speaking to someone else and he said, "Oh, block." So I said, "A block means a cemented sort of block."
Block, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. It means a guy.
A bloke.
So
I
it's
got you.
It's a good.
A bloke, yeah,
Yeah,
bloke.
bloke.
Mate. Now, do you find I have ever been hard to understand, or am I easy to
Oh no,
understand?
you are perfectly okay.
Oh, thank you. Now, I was going to say, I had to laugh the other day because we were at the school where the kids were, and you came into every Friday they have an assembly where the teachers get up and the headmaster talks about what the children have been doing.
Yes.
And they announced that on the Wednesday following there would be a teacher's strike. And
Yes.
please do not send your children to school. And you looked at me and you said, "What did he just say?" And I said, "No school on Wednesday." And you went, "Hang on, what? We don't send the children on Wednesday?" "No, not on Wednesday. They're having a strike." And what did you say? You said, "They can't strike. They're teachers."
Yes. They're not supposed to do that. But I think they have the different kind of issue. But from the moral ground, I would really say the doctors and teachers,
Right.
they are not supposed to do that because
Because you did look bewildered. You looked like,
Oh, yes.
teachers go on strike."
that is a very, very
Well-
unique thing for me. That's how they are doing it.
Welcome to Australia, brother. So the teachers have gone on strike, and I take it in Pakistan teachers would not go on strike.
Oh no, I don't think so. No.
Are teachers well paid in Pakistan, though?
Not well paid, but they usually don't. But
What would happen in Pakistan as a teacher if they decided they needed more money? How would that happen?
they
Or it just wouldn't happen?
no, it usually happen, but not on the big scale. Thing is that in our society, especially in Pakistan, the public sector is getting shrinked.
Okay.
So there are a lot of private schools, and in private schools they can't afford any strike or certain,
Because they're privately
they're
employed.
privately employed. So the public sector is really is getting shrinked over there. And but thing is that the public, according to the Pakistani pay scales, the government school teachers, they are getting good money.
Right.
They are really getting good money, and they don't have to do that. They don't have to reply. I mean, nobody can check them that what they are doing. So the common man, I mean, if you are in the middle class, I don't want to send my kids to this government school because I know that there is no education,
Right.
no education at all.
Whereas here in Australia, the government schools are quite good.
That's right.
And we're
Pakistani-
very lucky. I mean, look, we're very lucky. We are very lucky.
Yeah.
And sometimes that was mentioned in that documentary that someone had referred to Australia as the lucky country, but it
Yes.
wasn't said as a complimentary thing. It was said more or less as Australians don't realise just how lucky they really are.
I think you just taken everything is for granted. I think taken for granted sort of thing, because you don't know how cruel the world is.
And yet we would hope that never happens here,
I think, and
which is why you chose.
that is why. Yeah, that is why I chose this country, because you have got Medicare,
Yes.
and even USA doesn't have such thing.
No, I would hate to be sick in America.
So you have to have a private health insurance if you really want to be sick. So thank God that we are in a welfare country, a very good country. You have got systematic things like Medicare, like even in Centrelink or
How many family members, immediate family members, did you leave behind?
my mom and dad there, siblings there,
How many siblings?
one brother, one daughter, one sister. Yeah,
And how is life for them there now?
yeah, quite difficult. Yeah, but still, because we are not in the poverty level sort of situation there, we are in the middle class or upper middle class. So yeah, but comparing to the Pakistani society, they are living good. But thing is that if their institution is not good, if their institution is getting collapsed, So what will happen? You see, you don't have a safety and security there. No medical net.
Is there a caste system in Pakistan the way there was in India?
Not
Are
really.
there castes or not castes?
Not really. Not really. If you compare with India, not really. But there, the caste means there's a class system there in Pakistan. But class system in terms of how financially strong you are.
Right.
If you are financially strong. So like here, I think everybody looks like on the same pitch. Everybody has got car. Everybody has got everything, I think. So even the calls, we got heaps of people coming, going. But if you go to Pakistan, you can see the lots of beggars there.
Right.
Heaps of beggars there. Even in India, heaps of beggars there because their population is maybe more than 1.2 billion. So in Pakistan is not a tiny country. It's still I think it's still 200 million people there as well. 200 million. It's 20 million in one city, Karachi, where I'm from.
Yep.
So 20 million means almost whole Australia's population living in one city.
So the world is quite a cruel place.
Oh yes.
For many people.
Yep.
And I guess the problem is a bit too big, and you can't fix it, and I can't fix it.
The thing is that I realize that I can't. Even if I want, I can't change any situation in Pakistan. It's better to change the country for sake of my kids.
Right.
Yeah, but I can keep the dual nationality because Australia allows us, Pakistan allows us. We can keep the dual nationality.
Do you think future generations of yours may suddenly decide they want to go back to?
No.
Because you do get that a little bit in America with the African American, I don't think African Americans like being called African Americans, but often there are people generations on who then seek a longing for their roots.
Thing is that I want my kids to adopt, Australia as their country.
Right.
Like, because it's a multicultural country. It's not only for white. It's not only for indigenous. It's for everybody.
See, some people say multiculturalism has failed in Australia, though.
Oh.
There are some who say it's been a big disaster. I don't agree with that.
I don't either.
Because Australia
That's
of
a beauty.
Australia of the 1950s needed opening up a bit because there's a big world out there, and while there are many bad things in the world, there are many good things that go along with different cultures, and to be able to go and embrace those things is an enriching experience.
Yes.
Of course, many people say then people bring their disputes and their squabbles with them. But people said that about Italians and Greek people in the 50s, but Australia cried out for more immigration because it needed to build the infrastructure. And a lot of people said, however, they were of Christian background, so therefore it was more conducive, it was more... and then in the 70s here, when a lot of Vietnamese people took refuge here, people said there'd be war in the streets and people would never blend in, but that's not true either.
You see, as long as you have a welfare state, as long as you're the justice system intact,
Yep.
and there is no discrimination, there is no biasness among the different parts or different sectors of the society, the Australia will live, like they're living here. So will be more prosperous. There is no chance for any disaster or any other thing, because the thing is that justice, justice should prevail. Like the Churchill said during the World War II, if our courts is giving a good justice, nobody can beat us.
Okay. Well, look, it's been wonderful. I'm glad we got you here. It's
Thanks.
taken a few weeks. I've been saying each week.
Oh yes,
he'll be in.
thanks.
He'll be in. He'll be in.
Yes.
And you have been in, and we haven't maybe not solved all the problems of the world yet, but
All right.
but we are working on it.
That's right. It's a good thing that we can, discuss these things, and take the different point of view as well. That's the beauty. We should have a different sort of point of views, and exchanging of the views is a good in order to stimulate your knowledge, sharpen your, knowledgeable skills.
Yes.
So it's very good.
Now, I was going to say just quickly, some of the jobs that you've worked since you've been here. You've done some pretty hard work since you've been here.
Yeah, I did, but I couldn't get through. I kept doing it, but thing is that I changed my path. it's better to have Australian qualification
Qualifications,
and
yeah.
degree. So that is why I joined the Ballarat Uni.
You've gone back to
Yeah,
school.
yeah, yes.
Because you were working hard at one point because you were out bringing the shopping trolleys
Yep.
back to the supermarket, and that it was meaning work in the rain and the cold and the wind.
Yeah,
and
that's
the-
why, because I had to do those odd jobs, because I have a family, and I have every reason to support them. So I have to work like this. But I realize that these things, because if I will keep doing this, it means I am keep pushing the trolleys and putting the potatoes. So I need my status of recognition back. So that is why I joined the Ballarat Uni. Meanwhile, I'm working with this job, but my main focus is my study. And I think with the help of God as well, and I'll try my level best to complete my degree. And I got the 12 credit. So I got only 12 course remaining. So this 3 years degree would be completed within 2 years. So then I would be able to apply, and because at that time I will have a Aussie qualification.
You'll be an Aussie.
Oh, yes. By that time I will become Aussie as well, because it's a 28th or 30th of May
Yes.
2014. I would become a citizen.
Wow.
That's a good thing.
Oh, there you go. That's very good. We'll be having Barbies on the beach
Oh sure.
and and wearing thongs
Oh yes.
and whatever else it is we do here. I'm not quite sure myself. I'm a bit bewildered, but that's all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Say it again. I still call you Rahman, but I know you. It's
Oh, my name is Mujahid Rahman.
Rahman.
Yes.
Okay, Rahman. I got to get that into my head. It takes me a long time.
No, but you're okay.
Rahman. Okay, Rahman. Everybody loves Rahman. Thank you. All
thank
over
you.
the world now, people who've downloaded this podcast, if you could please stand and put your hands together and clap. That's it. I can hear you and I can feel the love.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you again.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.